Let's have the ball rolling with our president, who in recent times has become the #1 person marketing Nigeria. You know, is quite interested in getting investment into Nigeria. But this time around, the president has inaugurated 1 billion naira worth of International Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at the University of Maiduguri. You know, a few days ago, we talked about the need to review academic curriculum, whereby you give room for not just the conventional, educational studies, but also give room for entrepreneurship, skill acquisition. And University of Maiduguri seems to be setting the pace now, with this project being sponsored by an individual, that's the chairman of Bra Group, the Alhaji, Sami Rabiu. Now, this project includes various units such as handcraft laboratories, woodwork laboratories, graphic and digital media laboratories. You know, it's quite important this time around to provide a narrative. Interestingly, it's like a CSR, what you call CSR for the company, corporate social responsibility. It's worth about 1 billion naira. I find that to be very interesting. Most importantly, the greatest challenge when it comes to the issue of skill acquisition or floating any program has to do with the issue of funding. And now that this organization is taking that initiative, it's setting the pace for us to have this kind of entrepreneurship program where young people, students are being empowered to get the best of entrepreneurship. Let me take this to Idauza, who is also an entrepreneur. What's your take on this laudable project?
Well, I think it's a very welcome development, and this is what we've been all talking about from time to time, where you see you're having an intellectual environment, then of course you're having a laboratory, and the fund is also within that environment to really translate ideas into reality. And I think this would be very beautiful, but I am also hoping that the university is also prepared really to leverage this opportunity. But I think, like I've always said here, we need to be a little more strategic in terms of funding and these development issues. I was just been thinking, you see, we've talked about this synergy between the town and the gown, where we'll see that this is a major player in rice business, a major player in cement factory. I really had wished that this kind of funding was tailored to his area of interest, where you actually have trained people and empowered them to see how they can locally contribute to that industry. It will just be fantastic. But all said, it's a very welcome development for me, and I think this is all that Nigeria needs. Like we have said, it is not possible for government to fund education as it were. Like it's done in other climes, you see a lot of people invest in university system, funding research to see how they can translate ideas into products and services, and this is what is happening, and he's blazing the trail. We also expect other billionaires around us to do same. Tony Elumelu has been doing great in that regard, so it's just an appeal to all Nigerians who God has blessed to understand that if the children of the poor are not taken care of, the children of the rich will not be able to sleep with their eyes closed.
Yes, that is very true. I like that it is entrepreneurship development for students, because it doesn't mean that you have to have graduated, tried your luck, or so to speak, at the labor market. When you can't find a white-collar job, that's when you put in your thinking cap and you're thinking of what's next to do. But while you're studying, there are skills that you could learn as a student, and if you are the type that is very innovative, you could sharpen those skills and become very innovative while you're still in school. But I would want that it is designed in such a way that you can monitor what every student does within the spirit. So it's not as if, because it's done in the university, it is to fulfill all righteousness, but you're actually learning something. And over time, there is a monitoring. What have you done 1 year after? If you've passed out of the school, what have you done with the skills that you learned to ensure that it is very effective? And I would like to see that this is done in other universities, even in polytechnics. And the skills that they learn, they are up-to-date skills. The innovation is done in a way that is collective, so people are not left in silos. Their innovative skills are enhanced. So I would like to see that happen so that it can be sustained, because there's a lot of money and the initiative is a nice one, but let's follow it through to ensure that it becomes very, very productive at the end of the day.
You know, a few years back, the narrative was study hard, read hard for you to have good grades and get good job. I remember that was the narrative when I was in the university. In fact, skills acquisition, entrepreneurship was seen as a distraction. All you needed to do at that time to ensure you have first class or second class upper, then get a white collar job. That was the narrative. But I'm happy the narrative is changing now, because the situation that we've found ourselves in was that after graduation, we started looking for a job. And then, in fact, most of us, what we did was after graduation, that was when we now enrolled for skill acquisition programs. But I'm happy a university like that of Maiduguri is bringing up this initiative to change the narrative, whereby, like Idahosa said, there's a uniformity between the town and the gown. The reality you're going to face as a graduate, because we're in the age of technology, we're in the age of entrepreneurship, we're in the age of skill acquisition. So the reality is when you graduate, you still conform with this reality. So it's important for you to be armed with the right skills while in the university, yes, not when you're graduated and then you are thrown into the labor market to start looking for jobs. So with this kind of arrangement, what it means is an average graduate has the tendency to create jobs.
I don't think it should be for every graduate, and I think it should be tailored to the area of people's interest. And I think this, for me, is where we really need to work hard on our curriculum. You see, because there's a whole lot of distraction. The society needs a potpourri of intellectuals. We need philosophers, we need sociologists, we need medical scientists, we need workers. We need metal workers, people who are going to be able to be fabricators. Now, this should be targeted such that you're not distracting somebody who is supposed to be in core research. And the energy that is supposed to be focusing on research is transferring it to skill acquisition. So this of course will be very destructive. And this is what I'm saying. We have to be a little more strategic in the way some of all these things are done. What you need to do really to see that, okay, this chap is studying, maybe give them a BSc in carpentry, for example.
Create new courses.
New courses, yes, that are tailored toward that area. So they are both doing the theory and they are in the lab also practicing that same trade. So in that case, you are building people for industry.
But in this age where, the advocacy is you need to have multiple sources of income, yes, don't you think it's also important
there's
to
nowhere,
have a
there's
blend
nowhere in the world that is happening. And it cannot happen. Yes, you can have multiple sources of income. The fact that you are having multiple sources of income does not mean that you have to be a mechanic and a carpenter at the same time. So what that means is that if you earn some money, you can put it somewhere that is generating some things for you. You can be doing something by the side, which of course is not conflicting with the things you're doing every day. You see, but where we're looking at skills is the fact that skills serve society. What we should be actually focusing on is that look at the area of our society where there are some gaps, and how do we fill these gaps? You need people who are good. Maybe we just ask LG or Panasonic air conditioner manufacturer, give some people some skill that if your AC or your car is having issues, you have people who are well fitted. They are trained as mechanical engineers. They're actually mechanics. That's the kind of skills they're talking about. So these people can even be thinking of building models while they are in put things together and couple them, and then of course that's where innovation will come from. But if you make it and see it's like all students common affair, somebody is doing maybe medicine can come and be learning woodwork, that can become really very distracting. That's the point I'm making.
But I think that everybody can be entrepreneur. It depends on the side of it that you're on. For instance, a medical student, it may not be woodwork, it may be tech. It may be digital marketing. It may be something not so strenuous, not so distracting, but can also enhance what they do. So I think it's for the students to be given the freedom to pick. But as you have guidance counselor in secondary schools, as you have your advisor, your course advisor in the universities, you could work with your course advisor to think, okay, this is what you're studying. What would go with this that would not distract you, but also equips you with a skill that you would need? Because I agree with Femi that people need multiple streams of income. If you find people who are even having good white-collar jobs, venturing into one business or the other. So if we are to streamline it in that way, we may be cutting out some persons from benefiting from something like this. Yes, I agree. There is a need for us to have new courses channeled towards this. But as it is right now, with the system that we currently have, we can also enhance it.
Yeah, but you see, you know, in the early 2000s, this a campaign among psychologists and management scholars about what they call multitasking as something that was very useful. But today, in leadership and management, nobody talks about multitasking because it doesn't give room for effectiveness and efficiency. It does not allow for people to actually put in their best. You see, when you are focused and you zero on one thing, you become a master in that thing. So that is the point. If you want to become a medical doctor, be the best of medical doctor. If you want to become an engineer, be the best of an engineer. You see, the problem we have as a country is that the driving force of every man here is always money. Money should not be the driving force. The truth is that if you are able to create a system that will solve a problem, you will not be looking for multiple sources of income. That is the truth. You see, what you do is the fact that, you see, in other places, people are driven by their passion or a desire to solve societal problems. Now, as you are solving societal problems, depending on the crowd that you are serving, that will give you the value. So when people serve in a particular area and they feel they have conquered it elsewhere, they can move into another area where they feel that there's also so much gap. So it's always not money the driving force. If money becomes the driving force, you will find that we cannot do things and do them thoroughly. And this is a problem that we have as a people. And that will talk about accessibility to international market, where people can actually zero in and focus on something and do it very well. And then you see the result. And then, of course, we can really be making plenty of money. Because money is always secondary, but not should be the primary focus and the driving force for any enterprise.
Agreed, but not every doctor is like Ben Carson. Or will be like Ben Carson. I think that's the reality.
Every doctor should strive to be like a Ben Carson.
It's good you have expertise in something, but it's also good you have a bit of everything around you, whether skills, whether tech, whatever it is. As long as you have the opportunity, just take advantage of it, because you don't know where you'll be tomorrow. You might be in position to solve problems related to those areas. Then you can have a voice.
The name of the game today is excellence.
All right, let's move on to what the Director General of Security and Exchange Commission, Lamido Yuguda, is saying. He has expressed confidence that the $1 trillion economy target set by President Tinubu's government is achievable through the capital market. I like this. You know, the DG of the Security and Exchange Commission is saying, hey, President, the $1 trillion target you're looking for, you need to look at direction. He's talking about the capital market. You know, in recent times, the president has been passionate about generating revenue. You know, that's why, which has informed some of his trips in recent times, he's so passionate about getting foreign direct investment. So that's to tell you the nature and the persona of the president. He's interested in getting money to solve problems. So much has been expected of the president. But the Director General of Security and Exchange Commission is saying, hey, Mr. President, you have to look our way. You're going to generate the $1 trillion economy target. Are you optimistic this might be a reality?
Yeah, I'm very, very optimistic, and I really know that there are a whole lot of areas, especially in capital market, that has not been explored. And if you remember the last trip of the president to Onga, he had to visit the New York Stock Exchange, and of course to go ring the closing bell. That was quite also significant to see how we can synergize with other basic stock markets globally, that of course, if Nigerian stocks are being traded overseas, and even Nigerians in diaspora are now beginning to have, confidence in our stock market, and they are putting their money in here, you see a whole lot of expansion that can happen. And I think that even $1 trillion is small if done properly. But I think what people just want to see is that they want to see that governance is in place, that even these corporations are run very well. One of the problems we'll have actually in terms of the businesses or corporations in Nigeria is that there are little governance. And you see the chairman, because he's having so much and controlling share in a particular company, determine how it's run. And sometimes they give loans, especially when it's the banking system, and they have this take here, I take money here, I take money here. We live lavish lifestyle. The salary of CEOs are not fixed and things like that. So these are the things that, of course, really will make people not to have confidence in your market. Now, if businesses are run properly and everybody knows what the CEO take, and the salaries of the top management is not on the rooftop that will crumble the business, a lot of people will begin to get interest in this market, because this is actually what it is. You find that some companies, they have been in operation for the past 10 years and they have not even given dividend to the people who have invested, which is not good enough. It's either they are not making profit, or they are saying, oh, we're trying to expand and all these things. Because every man who put ₦1 down for a business is hoping to, at the end of the year, the fiscal year, should be able to earn a dividend that say, oh, I have investment and I'm making money here. And now if the dividend to the investors are not encouraging, nobody will want to put money in there. You can imagine that you are going to stock maybe 10,000 naira in a year, and at the end of the year, you can't even earn 50 naira as dividend. That's not good enough. Now, I think that's where, of course, all the captains of our industry will really need to see how to scale down overhead, so that at least there'll be something left for the investors. In this way, you will have confidence in the market. People, even the local people, want to put money. Today, people are not investing in the stock because they feel that, of course, it's not profitable. So if, of course, we can begin to guarantee from the boardroom that things are done well, there's governance in place in these sectors, and I think really that is a small amount compared to the size of our economy, given our population and, of course, the natural resources that God has given to us.
Yes, I think what the DG of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has done is smart. Coming up to say, yes, this is where you can actually achieve that from. Kudos to the Nigerian Stock Exchange. They've actually done well in recent time. If you look at the markets across Africa, one of the very stable markets that you find is the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And like it also said, if you have foreign investors, even if you have Nigerians in the diaspora, put money in it, it will grow. There are some sectors that have been consistent in terms of growth and having closing in the positive. Trading has always been good there. You talk about the banking sector, the telecom sector, but even consumer goods, you find that some companies doing very well. But I would also want to see other companies being able to enlist in the stock exchange. And if we have good corporate governance, I think that if a lot of these companies enforce good corporate governance, then the issues that you talked about will actually be addressed. And then profit declaring too, because people want to see the transparency. If you're looking from outside, you want to see how much of profit they're making, and you would want to even see maybe testimonials from investors who have received dividends. That could go a long way in convincing people who are on the fence right now to say, okay, maybe this is a good venture. Why do people buy crypto? It's because they feel, yes, the returns that come from it is much, and they can tell when to pick their money, even though the market is somehow volatile. But for the Securities and Exchange, if there is enough awareness on how things operate, and the companies trading there do become more transparent by declaring, then I think more persons, even locally, would want to invest in it. So it's a good one. It's very achievable. And I agree totally with you that the $1 trillion mark can even be surpassed. it would do what is right to ensure that the Securities and Exchange Commission receives lots of investment. And just imagine if some companies or some stocks in Nigeria are being traded in the US market, are being traded in the Europe market. So you have different people putting their money in there.
Absolutely. I also agree with you that it's a possibility, you know, if you look at the tendencies there, if the right business environment is provided, you know, the right infrastructure is provided. But my concern is, I don't want a situation whereby you talk, you just say this, what are the plans to ensure that the target is achieved? I want to believe this is not just another...
Yeah, but I think really everybody is excited about what Mr. President is doing, especially with the Oyedele committee trying to review the tax reform, because it's also a major barrier or hindrance to the development in that sector. Now, if government will provide that framework that facilitates trade, even between nations, and of course, people invest. If people bring in dollar into this economy today, really, for investment, and of course, they are able to take their money out, is another thing that's also very good. But you know, before now, in the last 8 years, it was very difficult for you to actually spend $100, even on your card. It was capped. So all these things were quite discouraging for a lot of investors. So you bring money into an economy and you can't take it out. So what Mr. President has said now is that it is possible for you to bring in your money, make your profit in here, and take it out. And one of the things that is actually working for me as a person, not to sing of anybody's praise, is the level of sincerity that the current CBN governor has brought to the running of CBN. And he has been quite transparent. And even the Minister of Finance has been telling us, yes, reform are coming. They are going to give us... see, this kind of honest conversation can only but build trust in your system, that people are looking at it. And that's why, if you remember the last time, the president says, yeah, we are doing our own, but there is one organ that is left to also help us achieve this goal, and that is the judiciary. And that's also very fundamental. Because if your justice system is cumbersome, people are also afraid. And no, so if I get into trouble, I can't get justice. So once we can see a judiciary also that is now very responsive, then of course you can see that the executive side, they're doing their bit, the market is doing its bit, and then of course the arbiter, because of course sometimes business go wrong, are also up to their game. Then you'll find that there'll be a lot of confidence. People want to bring in money, and it will just work right well.
All right, let's move on. Let's take the story related to the pump price of petrol. And it's looking like another good news. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria is saying that petrol is likely to decrease in the coming days. The price of petrol is likely to, due to the availability of products as a result of the Nigerian, provision being made by the NNPC. You know, NNPC is the sole importer of oil in Nigeria, and in recent times...
Not the sole. That was before.
Yeah,
well,
okay.
Still the sole right now, because a lot of marketers can't have access to Forex, and so...
No. A lot of people are bringing in petrol. They are not the sole anymore. They used to be the sole importers.
Officially, they're not the sole, but in reality, they seem to be the sole.
No. They are the major player when it comes to that.
Yeah. They are a major player. Yeah. I think that's a better language to use.
They're the major player here. But you must understand that the issue of Forex has been of concern in recent times, because for the independent marketers, it's a challenge. You know, you look at the exchange rate, it's not a tea party anymore. Even before now, when, you know, NNPC was just the sole distributor, it was just because of the issue of Forex. That was why, okay, the government felt, okay, to arrest the situation, let NNPC come into this vacuum, you know, to solve this problem and then access Forex officially. But how many of these independent marketers will be able to access Forex forex officially. They go to the, to the parallel market to assess. And if you look at the exchange rate, it's killing. So it's not a joke, but I'm happy this time around that, maybe due to the availability of this product, because the scarcity of this product will also add to the hike in the price. And Nigerians, for who we are, I don't like to use that word, but pardon me, the point is, once you sell something for 1,000 naira now, the tendency that that thing is going to be reduced is always not there. So this is coming at a time, towards the end of the year, where there will be demands for this product and all that. It also talked to us. Do you think this will be of impact in a few days?
Yeah, I quite really agree, because you see, this is a point that I always advocate, that governments are not controllers, they are supposed to be facilitators. And if you facilitate business, a whole lot of things can happen. What you're seeing here, NNPC is just preempting the situation. Because you look at it, we said it last week, you have 5 modular refineries that are set, who actually have received crude, and they're going to refine, and they're allowed to sell in the local market. Dangote said is also expecting some crude. Now, when all these things get into the system, it's just a common, simple law of demand and supply. So if you see that Dangote is selling, and of course the cost of logistics is removed and it drags its own price down, NNPC has no other alternative, then they have to review their template. So all where those monies have been eaten have to be removed so that they can actually compete. Otherwise, they will be off business like old Nitel. So this is what market forces can do. And this is why everybody is saying, government, leave businesses alone to compete. And when there is healthy competition, the consumer, they benefit. Now, what will this mean? People will become more prudent in terms of negotiation. People will go lean, they will cut their costs. Because all the overheads of NNPC is part of the money we are paying at the pump price. So if, of course, competition is facilitated, this money will go down. And, of course, fuel price will come down. It's just natural. So this can happen. Yes, they said, they have imported so much, like the NPA said, about 18 vessels are on the high seas for discharge. But we are hoping that in the days to come, as these modular refineries are working, of course, the 680,000 barrel single line of Dangote's refinery is producing fuel. Then there will be no fuel in the market. Anybody who wants to smuggle fuel can go ahead and smuggle. And then, of course, it will not be affecting our economy, but can only enhance it.
Well, it should be a relief for the states that were already experiencing fuel scarcity, such as the FCT, Niger State, and I think Nasarawa State. They're just around the same area, so experiencing fuel scarcity. This should be comforting news. But like Femi asked, is this something that we'll get to, is this a relief that Nigerians will get in a couple of days? Well, I don't think it's going to be that fast, but maybe over like a week or two, they should begin to get the relief. Saying that it's going to bring about a drop in the price of petrol for other areas that didn't quite experience fuel scarcity. I don't think there will be an immediate drop. It will take all that you just explained, the modular refineries working, Dangote refinery producing, for that drop to actually happen. Because by this importation, I think it's going to remain at the same pump price. It's only those that were already experiencing a hike due to the fuel scarcity that might just be having some relief in terms of the price. But good to know that there's availability, because we're fast getting into the Yuletide, and it's not a good time at all for fuel scarcity to be experienced, because that will mean that the prices of transportation, goods and services will increase. And this is a time where a lot of festivities happen. People will at the very least.
All right, time is not on our side, but let's move on. I want us to take the train of our news analysis to the UK, where the UK government is embracing the use of AI, artificial intelligence, to streamline administrative tasks and enable police officers, teachers and health workers to prioritize their frontline responsibilities. Now, you have a station now, some of the core responsibilities that ought to be performed by health workers, police officers will be taken over by AI. What that means is instead of having human interface all the time, you have a situation where technology is being deployed into these areas. And then that gives opportunity or more time for these health workers, police officers to have more time for other basic responsibility. You agree with me, we're in the age of AI now. It's changing everything, it's ravaging everything, it's the rave of the moment. I hope perhaps AI won't take over our presentation very soon.
Of course, there's a possibility.
It has done that in some areas, but it cannot do it completely. You still need
there's a possibility, but then of course, like we said, there's no way AI can run itself. It will still need humans to run it, maybe at the back end or whichever. So, but you see, we cannot run away from technological innovations, and these innovations are coming, and they are meant to make job easier, work better, and then of course we are getting more excellence in terms of service delivery, and this is what actually it is. There are some things that we should really not bother ourselves about, because we are also looking at, people are talking about teachers are not too much in numbers, police are not too many, and then of course you remember there was a whole lot of exodus of teachers from the UK to Asia to Australia, because a lot of they were paying more, Asian government were paying more teachers, and of course every worker is looking for where you get a better pay. And at a certain point, you remember early this year, the United Kingdom opened some certain portal for Nigerian teachers to also come to the UK. So all these are things that are happening, and of course we must look for technology to bridge the gaps in between these movements that is being created by labor. So you're having shortage of labor, then of course you're saying what role technology can play in bridging that gap. And I think that's a smart one from Rick Sunak.
Yeah, good to know, but some persons will still prefer that human interface. Yeah, but well, we're going digital. We've been digital, but going more digital. It's a good one. And for what you were saying, in regards to what you were saying on Friday about excellence, and that one of the problems here in Nigeria, people have someone to call. I just imagine if we have that kind of system running and you have robots doing the job of police officers, so it means you can't even talk to anybody because the robot don't understand who you're calling, and they cannot take phone and say, "Oh, God wants to speak to you." It's like that. But that's on the lighter side. But it's a good one, even though people fear that this may mean loss of job for some persons who may not be able to adapt to the new system. But I think before you get caught up, or before it gets to that point, what people should be doing is to find how they can upskill, so that whatever the change may be, it doesn't affect you. It only means that you move up to a different level.
Yeah, people always talk about cutting job, and I remember some time ago we were having this same conversation, and somebody said, you see, the AI industry is going to create about 15 million jobs globally, but of course it will also cut about 25 million jobs. So that's certain. And it's not because that the AI is cutting jobs, it's just because there's a lot of people who get platooned that they don't want to grow anymore, and they are so used to the manual way of doing things and they cannot embrace new technology. But I really feel that it's not as if that job cut is actually that is creating a new industry with a new specialty, unique competencies that are required. All that is just required is that people have to update their skill or upskill, like you said, and then be able to fit into the new arrangement. And some people can actually also take into other enterprises. Entrepreneurial spirit is what people talk about today. You can learn a new thing and actually become your own boss rather than just working and taking peanuts from government.
Talking about AI, if you look at the impact of job creation and efficiency, if you do, the mathematics or you weigh it, you discover that the merit outweighs the demerit. And in this situation, it's a reality we have to live with. So I'm hoping, like I said earlier, AI will not take over news analysis.
Sure, it will do it better.
AI will do news analysis, but you see, that human interaction is what a lot of persons will miss. So there are certain things that will still remain human, will still need humans to handle them. It's like you going to see a doctor. Yes, the robot can treat you, but sometimes people just want that empathy from a fellow human. People just want to see their smiling face. You can have a robot smile, but it's still not like a human smile.
It's all about it's all about machine learning.
Yeah.
You see, AI can just look at blessing
Create
and create a blessing and put it on the seat, and then of course we'll be interacting. It can replicate and duplicate family. So it's possible. All that is just studying you and learning your language and learning your mannerism, and there will be nothing different between blessing and AI.